Chapter 26. Before Reva saw her attackers, the wool blanket was pulled back over her head, blinding her, choking her. She cried out as someone again shoved her hard from behind. "What do you want? Leave us alone!" she heard Pam scream, her voice shrill. "Shut up," a girl snapped in a loud, raspy whisper. "Just shut up, both of you." Reva stumbled, but a strong arm grabbed her around the waist and kept her moving. She heard a car door open. "Put them both in back," she heard the girl order. How many were there, Reva wondered. "What are you going to do to us?" Pam cried. "I told you to shut up," the girl cried furiously. Reva heard a hard thud. Pam cried out in pain. "Get them in the car. I'll drive," the girl said. "I'll drive. I've got the keys." A man's voice. No, a teenager's voice. "Just move," the girl shouted angrily. "Get in there." Another man's voice. The man holding Reva. He shoved her. She stumbled forward, thrusting her arms out to break her fall. She landed on a car seat. She fell into the car, tangled in the blanket. Her knee bumped the car floor. She could hear Pam struggling behind her. Another thud. The sound of a fist landing a hard blow. "Move!" "Let us go! You can't get away with this!" Reva heard Pam cry. And then Pam was shoved in next to her. Reva could feel her trembling body. Reva heard Pam sob. "Not again! Please, not again! Let me go!" Then there was a flurry of movement. Someone opened the car door next to Reva. Someone pulled the blanket off her head. Reva got a glimpse of a pudgy-faced, dark-eyed man in a denim jacket. A glimpse. Then everything was dark again as a scarf was tied around her eyes. She wanted to resist, to fight, to make it tough for them, but there was no room to struggle, and her fear made her muscles weak. She could barely raise her arms. Reva's hands were pulled roughly behind her back. Then they were tied with some kind of cord. "Ow! No!" she cried out as the cord cut into her wrists. Her cry was ignored. The car door slammed shut. She could still feel Pam's trembling body beside her. "Reva, are you okay?" Pam whispered. "Shut up. Shut up," the girl rasped from the driver's seat. "Hurry up, Press." "Hey, no names," the boy shouted angrily. "Press?" One of them was named Press? Reva figured there were three of them. The woman, the pudgy-faced man who had pushed her into the car, and the teenage boy, the one named Press. She heard a front door slam. The car engine roared. The car shot forward, throwing Reva back against the seat. "Sit back and enjoy the ride," the man said. Reva could tell he was sitting next to Pam. "You can't do this," Pam cried in a weak, trembling voice. Reva remained silent, staring into the blackness behind the blindfold. She realized she was too frightened to speak. She coughed, started to choke. Her throat felt tight and dry. "Stop coughing, Reva," the girl snapped from the front seat. "She knows my name," Reva thought. A cold chill ran down her back. "They know my name. They've planned this. They've been sitting somewhere, planning this, talking about me." Reva had read about kidnappings. She had seen movies about them on TV. But the movies never showed the real fear, she thought, feeling her whole body convulse in a shudder. The movies never showed the darkness, never showed the panic that choked you, that made you gasp, that made your temples throb. The movies never showed the horror of being helpless, of being at the mercy of someone who wanted to harm you, to hurt you, to kill you maybe, someone who knew your name. This is what Pam went through, Reva realized. This is the fear Pam felt. And now it is happening all over again to her. Why? Because of me? If they wanted to kidnap me, why did they take Pam again? The answer came to Reva at once. They think they can get more money if they have both of us. They're probably right, Reva realized. Daddy will gladly pay them whatever they want. And then what? The question flashed uninvited into her mind. And then what? Reva didn't want to think about that question. What will they do to Pam and me once Daddy has paid them? Will they return us to our homes? Will they simply dump us out on my driveway the way they did the first time? Reva had seen the movies. She'd seen the news stories on TV about kidnappings. Sometimes they let you go home. Sometimes they took the money and let you go. But sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they killed you. Killed you and hid your body where the police wouldn't find it until it was rotted. Took the money and killed you anyway, and dropped your body in a river or in some filthy trash dump. And then, when they showed you on TV, you were zipped into one of those long plastic body bags, wrapped up like garbage, and... Stop, Reva ordered herself. Stop thinking such horrible things. You'll be okay. Daddy will pay. They'll let you go. Think positive. They already let Pam go once, right? The car squealed as it made a hard turn around a corner. Then it shot forward with a roar. Riva realized she'd been holding her breath. She let it out slowly, trying to stop her body from trembling, trying to keep the frightening thoughts, the ugly pictures, from invading her mind. "Merry Christmas to us!" the boy in the front seat exclaimed suddenly. He let out a high-pitched, gleeful cheer. "Whoa, don't start celebrating now," the girl replied from the driver's seat. "We don't have the money yet, remember?" The boy let out another cheer. "Merry Christmas, one and all!" The car turned another corner. Riva felt Pam thrown against her. "Hey, you're being awful quiet," the boy called back to the man, squeezed on the other side of Pam. "I got hit in the mouth," the man muttered glumly. "Who hit you?" the boy asked. "The redhead. You know, Riva," the man rasped angrily. "She got me with her elbow when I was taking her to the car." Riva heard the boy snicker. "It isn't funny, Press," the man snapped furiously, forgetting about not using names. "She split my lip. It's bleeding like crazy." "Good," Riva thought. "It brought my headache back," the man grumbled. "Real bad." "You'll be okay," the girl said without any sympathy. "You won't have your headaches when you're rich. I'll make you a bet." "I just want to kill her," the man fumed, ignoring the girl's words. "Hey, come on, man. Sit back and relax," Press said. "We're almost there." "I want to kill her. I really do," the man insisted calmly. His words were slightly slurred. Riva guessed it was because of the split lip she had given him. "Well, maybe you'll get your chance," the boy replied casually. Chapter 27. "I want to break her arm in 30 places, the man in the back seat said, breathing noisily, excitedly. "Then maybe my headache will go away." "Hey, we have a lot to do. We have to keep control, remember?" the girl called back to him, sounding very impatient. The man grumbled a reply. The car slowed to a stop. "Where are you taking us?" Riva blurted out. "What are you going to do?" "Hey, it speaks," the girl said sarcastically. "We told you to shut up," the man growled at Riva. "This cord is cutting my wrist," Riva complained. "Boo-hoo," the girl replied coldly. "You'd better shut your trap, Riva." "I just want to know what you're planning to do," Riva insisted. "Say one more word, and it's all over," the girl told her flatly. Pam bumped Riva hard, signaling for her not to say any more. Riva choked back her questions and sank into the seat. "Pull the car back there," she heard Press instruct the girl. "You checked this all out?" the girl asked him skeptically. "Yeah, as soon as I got back," Press told her. "There's no guard back here, you'll see. Park it over there, away from the lights." The car lurched forward. Pam leaned hard against Riva. She had stopped trembling, but Riva could hear her frightened, shallow breaths. "No mess-ups this time," the man beside Pam muttered. "Hey, no way, I'm back now," Press said lightly. "What could go wrong?" The car slowed to a halt. Riva heard the girl shift into park, then turn the engine off. "Less talk, more action," she muttered. "Aye, aye, Captain," the man replied sarcastically. "Pull them out," the girl instructed. Car doors opened. Riva heard the kidnappers climb out. "Where are we?" Riva whispered to Pam. "I don't know," Pam whispered back. "It seems like we've been driving for a long time, but I think it's just because I'm so scared." "Shut up, both of you," the man snarled. "You're giving me a headache." He yanked Riva out of the car. She stumbled, then caught her balance. Her shoes scraped against hard pavement. A driveway? She wondered. Some kind of parking lot? So this is what it's like to be blind, she suddenly realized. The air felt cold and refreshing on her face. She took a deep breath, then another. If only her heart would stop racing, thudding so hard in her chest. She could hear Pam being pulled from the car. Then car doors slammed. Riva listened hard. Where are we? Where? It was so quiet, quiet as death. She shivered. Someone shoved her hands up roughly against her back. She cried out as the tight cords dug into her skin. The man shoved her arms up again. The pain shot through her entire body. Then he pushed her forward. "Which door?" he called to the others. "That one," Riva heard Press reply, "with the light burned out." Riva could hear Pam close behind her. They were both being pushed up steps. "Where are we? Where are we? Where are we?" The question repeated in Riva's mind. She could hear traffic muffled in the distance, the sound of a car honking, far away. The only other sound was the scraping of their shoes on the hard pavement. "Oh!" Riva suddenly stumbled and fell. With her hands tied behind her, she couldn't break her fall. She landed hard on her side. Pain shot up her back. "Oh!" "Don't pull any funny business," the man growled angrily. I can't see, Riva wailed. He grabbed her around the waist and hoisted her to her feet. There's nothing to see, he said. Just walk. Riva's knee ached. She uttered a low sob. Help me! The man laughed scornfully. Hurry up. Someone will see us, the girl cried sharply. The man shoved Riva forward. You heard the lady. Move it. A second later, they had gone through a door and were walking across a silent room. From the way their footsteps echoed, Riva could tell it was a large room. She coughed loudly. The cough echoed all around. A very large room. The floor was hard. She scraped her sneakers as she walked. Not smooth. Not linoleum or tile. Concrete, maybe. Into another room. Stay to your right against the wall, Riva heard the girl urge. Riva took a deep breath. They were walking quickly. The man had her arm, squeezing it painfully, pushing her forward. Riva took another deep breath, trying to remain in control, trying not to fall apart. She realized what she was smelling. I know where we are, she thought. I know where we are, and I don't believe it. Chapter 28. Riva recognized the heavy warmth of the air, the tangy sweet aroma of the perfume and cosmetics. Someone had left the sound system on, very low. She could hear a chorus, very soft, singing, Silent Night. We're in Daddy's store, Riva realized, astonished. They've brought Pam and me to the department store. But why? Press, where'd you go? The man asked suddenly. Hey, no names, remember? Press snapped. I had to knock out the security guard. Let's hurry upstairs. See if they left the elevators running, the man said. I really don't feel like walking up 5 floors. Hey, she gave you a nasty cut on your lip, Press exclaimed. You should put some ice on that. Good idea. Let's send out for ice, the girl said sarcastically. Maybe we'll order some sandwiches while we're at it. Okay. Lighten up, Press told her. Everything's going great, for once. We're going to be rich, millionaires, just like in the movies. You and your brother are both alike, the girl muttered, counting your chickens before they're hatched. Cluck, cluck, Press replied. Hey, the elevator, the man cried. Good deal. He pulled Riva's arm. Get in. Riva was shoved up against the back of the elevator. She could feel Pam right beside her. The elevator emitted a low hum as it began to rise. Why are they taking us to the 5th floor? Riva asked herself. What's on the 5th floor? Children's clothes. And toys, she remembered. Yes, Santa's World is up there this year. And a children's hair salon. An inexpensive shoe boutique. Why the 5th floor? This way, the man said, jerking her roughly out of the elevator. I know where we are, Riva blurted out. My father's store. Well, you win the prize, the girl replied sarcastically. Pull off their blindfolds. Otherwise, we'll never get them to the room. Riva had to shut her eyes against the invasion of bright light. Blinking, she waited for them to adjust. She saw Pam squinting against the sudden light, too. As they continued to walk through a narrow back hallway, the 3 kidnappers came into clear focus. The woman was young, Riva saw, probably not even 20. She had a bad bleach job, her dark roots showing. She'd be nice-looking if it weren't for the buck teeth, Riva observed. And then she remembered them, from the store a few mornings before. The dropped contact lens, the younger guy, Press, the one with the soulful black eyes and thin, wasted look. He had tried to pull her away from the counter. Yes, Riva remembered them both. The third one, the pudgy one with the beer belly and the red face, she'd never seen before. His eyes were darting wildly around. His lip was swollen on one side, dry blood clinging to the spot that was cut. Press was kind of good-looking in a cheap, trashy way, Riva thought. He sneered at Riva, sizing her up as if seeing her for the first time. She turned her glance to Pam. Pam's blonde hair was disheveled. Her eyes were red-rimmed and bloodshot. She tried to flash Riva an encouraging smile, but her quivering chin gave her away, revealing her fear. Move it. Hurry, the girl urged with a scowl. There's a security guard somewhere on this floor. Riva and Pam were forced along the narrow passageway behind the selling floor. Doorways led to supply closets and storage rooms. In there, the man barked, shoving Riva's shoulder. A glint of light caught Riva's eye. She gasped as she realized for the first time that he was carrying a small silver pistol in one hand. Yeah, it's real, he growled, narrowing his eyes at her. Just give me a reason to use it. Go ahead, Riva. The way he pronounced her name made it sound like a curse word. Where are the cleaning people? Where are the night guards? Riva wondered. She knew the TV surveillance system was broken and being repaired. She realized that the kidnappers must have scoped out the store and known this. must have also known that the cleaners were finished on the 5th floor by this time every night. She and Pam were shoved into a small square storage room. Metal shelves against the back wall were empty. A short aluminum ladder stood in front of the shelves. 2 gray folding chairs had been placed in the center of the room. The floor and chairs were covered with dust. Empty soda cans were strewn on the floor around the 2 chairs. Some workers probably eat their lunch in here, Riva observed, but it's pretty obvious the storage room hasn't been used in some time. The girl motioned for Pam and Riva to go to the 2 folding chairs. "Can't you untie my hands?" Riva demanded shrilly. "The cord, it's cutting my skin." The girl tissed sarcastically. "Can't you just loosen them a little?" Riva pleaded. "Can't you give me a break? You're going to take money from my father, right? So, can't you treat me with a little respect? A little dignity, maybe?" "Enough. That's enough," the man cried angrily. He had been fingering his cut lip. Now his eyes widened in anger. His face reddened as he strode toward Riva. "Danny," the girl called warily, accidentally revealing the man's name to Riva and Pam. "Whoa, man," Press urged. Ignoring his 2 partners, Danny grabbed Riva's arm. "Let go of me!" she screamed. He pulled the arm up behind her. "Danny, let go," the girl ordered. "Please, let go. You're really hurting me," Riva pleaded in a shrill, frightened voice she'd never heard before. "Please!" "Danny, don't!" the girl shouted. But with an angry grunt, Danny jerked Riva's arm up hard. The loud crack sounded like a pencil snapping. The pain flared up Riva's arm, up her back, her neck. Everything turned white. The floor tilted up toward her. The pain sizzled like an electric current, surging over her, surrounding her, pulling her down. Breathing hard, Danny let go and stepped back. Silently, Riva dropped to her knees on the glaring white floor, the white walls shimmering in front of her. Were those low moans coming from her? She couldn't hear herself over the deafening roar of pain, the white, sizzling pain. With another low moan, Riva shut her eyes. The roar grew louder, and over the roar she heard Danny say, "I really want to kill her." Chapter 29. Riva realized she must have blacked out. Blinking her eyes, she glanced around. She was sitting now, beside Pam, in one of the 2 folding chairs. A steady throb of pain shot up her arm. She tried to stand up. Then she realized she was tied at the waist, tied to the chair, her hands still tied behind her. The angry white glare had disappeared. Everything seemed in soft focus now, slightly blurred. Tied up beside her, Pam mouthed the words, "Are you okay?" Riva furrowed her forehead. She tried to shrug, but the pain was too great. Okay? Am I okay? The question didn't make any sense to her. No sense at all. How could I be okay? Struggling to focus, she gazed around the room. Danny hovered by the door, glancing out nervously. The girl and Press stood against the wall, staring back at Riva. "She's coming too," Press murmured. "I've got eyes," the girl replied sharply. "I told you we shouldn't get Danny involved," Press said, eyeing his brother. "He's out of control. He could do anything." Riva shuddered. He could do anything. He's already broken my arm, she thought, feeling the heavy dread form like a rock in her stomach. What else is he going to do to me? Are they really going to let him kill me? "I said I was sorry," Danny told Press, his eyes still trained on the door. "How many times do I have to apologize? I just lost it for a moment, that's all. I feel better now. I really do. So give me a break, Diane." The girl rolled her eyes. "Thanks for telling them my name," she said. "Can we stick to our plan now that you've had your fun?" "Yeah, fine," Danny muttered. Diane stepped over to Riva. "You okay?" Riva glared at her, but didn't reply. Diane pulled up a strand of Riva's hair. She lowered her gaze to examine it. Then she let it drop with a sneer on her face. "Go find a phone," Press said. "This place is giving me the creeps." "I don't get it. Why did you bring us here to Daddy's store?" Riva demanded, wincing in pain from her broken arm. "It's the last place anyone will look," Diane told her, walking to the door. "No one uses these storage rooms," Press confided. "No one ever comes back here. I checked it all out." He seemed really pleased with himself. "So go call Dalby," Danny urged Diane. "Tell him where to drop the money." "Yeah, then we can get out of here," Press agreed. "But what about us?" Riva asked. She glanced beside her at Pam. Pam was staring intently at Press, as if memorizing every pore in his face. "What are you going to do with us?" Riva repeated. "Leave you tied up here," Diane replied without any exaggeration, "and gagged." "But But, Reva stammered. Don't sweat it, Diane said, frowning. Someone will find you in a day or two. Press snickered. He motioned for Diane to go make her call. I still think we should kill them, Danny said, waving the small pistol. Danny, we've been over and over that, Diane sighed. You've had your fun, okay? You broke her arm. Now, listen to me. We just want to make some Christmas money, remember? We don't want to kill them. She uttered an exasperated sigh. But why leave witnesses? Danny demanded. They've seen us, Diane. They know our names. If we don't kill them, they'll help the police. We'll be caught. No way, Press assured his brother. We'll be so far away from here, it won't matter. Besides, I told you, no one ever comes back to the storage room. These girls could be here for a week. Longer. Danny rubbed his forehead with his free hand. I guess I'm not thinking clearly. I mean, I remember the old saying, dead men tell no tales. Danny, this isn't a pirate movie, Diane said sharply, shaking her head. It's a kidnapping movie. Was that just a slip? Or does she really think she's in a movie, Reva wondered. Does she really think it's all pretend or something? They're crazy, Reva exclaimed to herself. All three of them are. They're all crazy. She stared hard at the pistol gripped in Danny's pudgy hand. Crazy and dangerous. I'm going down the hall to call Dobby, Diane announced, ending the conversation. Then we'll get out of here. Press. Double-check the cords. Make sure they're tied really tight. We'll gag them when we're ready to leave. She started to the door, taking long, hurried strides. Wait a minute, Pam called. Her cry startled Reva. Pam hadn't uttered a sound all this time. Wait a minute, Diane, Pam called. Let me go now. Untie me. Diane turned at the doorway and locked her eyes on Pam. No way, she said coldly. Hey, you promised, Pam cried shrilly. Let me go. Come on, Diane. You promised. You promised if I got you Reva, you'd let me go. Chapter 30. Huh? Reva gasped in shock. She struggled to turn toward Pam, but the effort sent a lightning bolt of pain up her arm. She narrowed her eyes at her cousin. You made a deal with them? Her voice revealed more shock than anger. Shock and hurt. Pam avoided Reva's eyes. Sure, why not? She muttered. Hey, Diane, wait, she called desperately. Ignoring her, Diane disappeared to make her call. Come on, you guys. Let me go. You promised, Pam wailed. Press and Danny ignored Pam, too. They huddled in the corner, talking rapidly in low tones. Press had a hand on Danny's shoulder. Danny was still gripping the silver pistol in one hand. You helped them? Reva cried in disbelief, her voice a shrill whisper. How could you, Pam? How could you? Easy, Pam replied, turning to Reva with a sneer in her face. Why do you think they let me go? Because you... Reva was so shocked and upset she could barely speak. Pam's eyes burned into Reva's. You broke my heart, Reva, she said bitterly. Huh? I what? Reva felt the room tilt again. I don't understand, Pam. You're my cousin. I can't believe you'd agree to... You knew I was in love with Victor, Pam said, her green eyes flaring, her features tight with anger. Huh? Victor? But... You knew I was in love with Victor, Pam repeated through clenched teeth. And you didn't care. You went out with him anyway. You sneaked out with him. You knew how much I cared, and you sneaked out. You tried to steal him. You... What are you talking about? Reva asked, careful not to meet her cousin's eye. Don't lie to me, Pam warned. I know about you and Victor. The minute you said he broke 2 dates with me, I knew. I told you about only one of those dates. You knew because you were the one out with Victor. But, Pam, it wasn't anything serious, Reva protested. That's even worse, Pam cried. Hey, keep it down over there, Danny ordered from the corner, glaring at them. You want me to put the gags on now? That's even worse, Pam repeated to Reva in a whisper. But, Pam, you did that to me, and it was just some kind of joke to you? Pam whispered shrilly. Just some kind of casual joke? That's worse, Reva, much worse. Reva winced in pain. Her arm was throbbing more. The pain tightened the back of her neck. She was having trouble focusing her eyes. Why did you do it, Reva? Pam demanded. Why? Why did you want to hurt me like that? I don't know, Reva whispered. I really don't know, Reva thought. I don't know why I was so eager to steal Victor. It was just a game, that's all. I really wasn't interested in him. I didn't even like him very much. When I found out, Pam whispered, raising her eyes to Press and Danny, who were still huddled against the wall. When I found out about you and Victor, I wanted to kill you, Reva. I really did. Sorry, Reva replied, lowering her eyes. Then I was kidnapped, Because of you. Because you practically forced me to take your shift in the stockroom. The kidnappers never wanted me. They wanted you, of course. I know, Reva replied, shutting her eyes. I know. Then your father refused to pay any ransom money for me, Pam continued bitterly. Uncle Robert wouldn't pay a dime for me. He had his precious Reva home safe and sound. Why should he pay anything for me, a lowly niece? Pam? Really? Reva tried to interrupt, but Pam was determined to have her say. When your father refused to pay, that's when I realized I had nothing to lose. I was so hurt, Reva, and so angry, and I didn't want to die. So I made a deal with them. They offered you money? Reva asked. Pam glared at her scornfully. Money? That's all you can think about, isn't it, Reva? Money and other people's boyfriends. She scowled. No, they didn't offer me money. They didn't have to. You mean? Reva started. They offered to let me go. They offered to let me go home safe and sound if I agreed to help them grab you. And I thought, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I think of myself for a change? But, Pam, Reva said in a trembling voice, I'm your cousin. I'm your family. How could you? How could you? Pam snapped back furiously. Besides, I knew nothing bad would happen, so Uncle Robert will have to lose $1 million or $2. Big deal. That doesn't mean anything to him. And you'll be home in time for Christmas, in front of the tree, and all the hundreds of presents your father showers you with every year. Yeah, I'll be home, with a broken arm, Reva muttered. Pam glared at her but didn't reply. You don't care about me, so why should I care about you? She said finally. But you betrayed me, Reva cried. No, you betrayed me, Pam replied sadly. Tears brimmed in her eyes. You betrayed me, Reva. You promised last year that you were going to change. You promised we'd be like sisters. You promised. Her voice broke. She uttered an angry sob. I tried, Reva said softly. It's hard to change, Pam. It's hard to... I don't want to hear about it, Pam snapped. A tear ran down each pale cheek. She raised her head to press and Danny. Untie me, she shouted. Come on, untie me. The two brothers turned to stare at her, but neither replied. I'm going home now, Pam insisted, straining at the cords that held her to the folding chair. I delivered my cousin. Now let me go. We have a deal. Danny shook his head. Press snickered. You should have gotten it in writing, he said with an amused sneer. Let me go, Pam shouted angrily. Let me go. Hey, shut up, Danny ordered, taking a few steps toward the few girls. No, let me go, Pam screamed. I'm going to shout till you do it. Let me go. She'll bring a guard, Press warned his brother, panic creeping into his dark eyes. Danny moved with surprising speed. Let me go, Pam chanted at the top of her lungs. With an angry groan, Danny pulled his hand back and swung it hard, slapping Pam across the face. The slap was so hard it sounded like a gunshot. Pam's head snapped back. The chair tilted and nearly toppled over. Danny leaned over her, breathing hard, his big stomach heaving up and down. Pam's eyes were open wide. Her head rolled on her shoulders. She didn't utter a sound. Pam! Reva cried in fear. Pam! A gurgling sound escaped from Pam. Then her eyes closed and her head slumped forward lifelessly.